Okay, looks like we're live. Thanks for coming. I am the real _ G Warner on Twitter. Go hit that follow button. Send me any questions you want through there. Happy to go through them. But this will be a YouTube live going through this weekend, April 23rd, right now in the US, going through this weekend's soccer matchups in all the top European leagues, including the Carabao Cup title. I'm wearing my SC Freiburg shirt. And that is all I'm going to say about that. But going to start first in England because that's where all the money is. Looks like Liverpool giving a goal in 3/4 to Newcastle. It doesn't really take into consideration the form that Liverpool's in. Give up a late goal to Fulham. Not to Fulham, to Leeds in their last match, which probably was a deserved 1-0 victory, though wasn't pretty. But when Liverpool has been scoring more than one goal, you'd have to tell me because I don't remember any of that unless Leipzig is giving them goals on a silver platter. Newcastle's been playing a lot better lately. Take that with a grain of salt. Is that worth it? Are they even that talented? I'm not. They're definitely not talented. Dealing with some injuries for sure. Alisson Maximin can't seem to stay on the pitch for more than 1 or 2 consecutive matches. Rarely starts 2 in a row anyway. And Newcastle, though, have been playing better lately, and I think they're pulling themselves out of the relegation battle, making it really hard on Fulham, who's already played an extra match and is, I think, 6 points behind. It's going to be really hard for them to catch. But in terms of the spread for this matchup, so I make all these lines myself, but then I'm using Bet Online, and this is my first look at all these lines, wedding style. But Liverpool giving a goal in 3/4. As an underdog player, there's no chance that I would back Liverpool here. That's a huge number for them to lay, considering how poorly they've been and how bad they've been at Anfield. Problem is that once the first goal goes in for Liverpool, whether it's beginning of the match, right before halftime, right after halftime, or even late in the match, then Newcastle is going to send everything forward trying to get that equalizer to steal a point, and their defense is going to be wide open. So really, if you're going to bet Newcastle here, you need them to hold out as long as possible because unfortunately, multiple goals can be scored in extra time. Seems to always happen on the big favorites like this one. Just looking at Barcelona yesterday, just to screw everybody over who bet Getafe. Thoughts and prayers. But anyway, Newcastle, I don't expect them to win this match. And so staying within 2 goals is going to be a big ask for them. Drawing is going to be tough, but possible for certain based on how poorly Liverpool's offense has gone. But I don't think that's really one I want to step in, though. Ultimately, based on what this number says, is you should be on Newcastle because Liverpool nothing that Liverpool has done should allow them to deserve laying 1 3/4 goals. But then I'll move on to West Ham hosting Chelsea, and what's probably the biggest match for Champions League in the English Premier League this weekend. West Ham currently getting 3/4 of a goal, all the juice on their side, so it might fall down to a half. West Ham has not been playing great. Their defense has been pretty wide open, especially after they take really big leads. But when you take really big leads, that puts you in a good position to get points, win matches, et cetera, especially when you're an underdog against almost everyone you play. Chelsea, with a pretty uninspiring performance against Brighton midweek after a really big upset victory against Man City in the FA Cup semi, which was certainly the tougher draw of the 2 matches there. Got to have a lot of questions about the Chelsea legs right now, especially with Champions League coming up next week with the Real Madrid first leg. So Chelsea's basically got they're fighting in a lot of different. They're fighting in front of them, to the side of them, the other side or behind them, whatever you want to call it. They're fighting in a lot of different competitions right now, while West Ham is only really focused on one. West Ham certainly is flawed. Their defense has not been as good as it's been in the past. And everyone thinks that Jesse Lingard can't keep scoring at this pace that he's been scoring. So we'll see about that. But ultimately, Chelsea has to win this match to cover the spread. And I don't know where that offense is coming from. Honestly, Brighton should have won that match if there was going to be a winner. Hit the post, had a bunch of other chances that probably should have gone in. Kepa's been playing a lot, which is strange, but I think Mendy probably returns to start this weekend. West Ham, not off a great performance themselves, and certainly have some interest. I think they lost to Newcastle last weekend, so they're probably primed and ready. Not very happy with how they performed, and I think that you'll see a pretty good start from them. Whether that holds on or whether they can hang on to that and keep playing at that level, we'll see. But ultimately, as a home dog, I mean, Chelsea's not going too far from London and from a home match in the midweek. But still, at home in your familiar dressing room surroundings, what you're looking at, and a team that's constantly underdogged and really has just been a covering machine, it's going to be really hard for me to avoid backing West Ham here. Next match, I believe, is the Carabao Cup Final, which it looks like Tottenham is currently getting a full goal from Manchester City. All the juice on the Manchester City side, so it looks like it might climb to 1.25. That's actually on Sunday, but whatever, we'll touch on it now. Tottenham looked awful. Their new manager, who knows if he has any clue. Getting Jose out of there might be good because it might inspire the offense a little bit, but the defense is still a big problem. Maybe sitting back and trying to play defense with a bad defense wasn't a good idea, but that's how Jose does it, and they knew that. Daniel Levy knew that bringing him in. So I'm not sure what more to say about that besides Man City didn't look great on the past weekend, but might be able to name their tune here, name their score. And I don't have any real faith in Tottenham unless Harry Kane plays, but that line kind of suggests that he's not going to be available. And without him, that offense was a deflection that fell perfectly kindly to Gareth Bale, who did finish a great shot, but ultimately, like, that was pretty fortunate. Then a really late penalty to beat Southampton, who's been a disaster, and they murdered him the first time they played him with at full strength both ways. I guess without Kane, give him some benefit of the doubt there, but I'm not sure that I believe in Tottenham, though catching a full goal is a lot, especially if it looks like it's climbing. Last one on Saturday in the Premier League is Sheffield United hosting Brighton, currently getting 3/4 of a goal. Brighton giving 3/4 of a goal on the road is a lot. They really struggle to score. And so if anyone could believe that Sheffield United was going to put forth a good performance, besides being like really inspired and saying we're not giving up on the season, even though we're relegated, and there certainly might be some pressure off, but they've known they were going to be relegated for a while. Brighton's road offense in general is pretty hideous, though. So any sort of road favorite doesn't make sense. If Sheffield's +1, like, I really hope I don't see that, so I don't have to back Sheffield United, because it's been a disaster backing them. And who knows about if they have any interest in playing defense, what this caretaker manager is going to do, if he's going to stick around for next season. But Brighton doesn't deserve to lay any sort of goals on the road, sitting, I think, 16th in the Premier League, 7 points away from the last relegation spot. Like, pretty safe, but certainly aren't playing well. And if I could talk, I would. So that was not whiskey. Moving to Sunday, Wolves giving half of a goal to Burnley. Currently, Wolves, with all the juice on the Burnley side, look like it might fall down. Burnley's defense has been a disaster, to put it mildly, recently, compared to especially what we expected them to be. And they almost kind of got pulled into a relegation spat, but they're still plenty far ahead right now as the season's kind of dwindling. Fulham's got an extra match played and aren't playing very well. Wolves doesn't have much of an offense, though. They want to sit back and counterattack you. Burnley wants to do the same thing. So 0-0 sounds like a really likely result here. Probably doesn't happen. Someone's going to get on the board at some point, maybe. But Burnley getting a half of a goal seems really interesting, considering Chris Wood looked somewhat dangerous the past week. They definitely gave up a late backdoor, front door cover to Manchester United in the last match. Brutal for anyone who's back in Burnley. And that just seems to always happen in this sport, and it's really brutal. And I don't even want to count how much money I've lost on those things alone. But very interested in Burnley. Just have no idea if you can trust them to play any defense. The thing is, Wolves, they've been dealing with a ton of injuries, lost basically their entire attacking ability. So are they going to score on a counter? That's not reliable. Are they going to keep a clean sheet? Like, maybe, but like that's hard to do. And I don't know. That's a half goal favorite. That's a big number even at home. But that who cares at home because there's still no fans. Next is Leeds hosting Manchester United, currently getting a half of a goal. All the juice on the Manchester United side, so might climb to 3/4. Leeds with a great draw to pull a point back from Liverpool last match, but trailing the whole time. It's hard to say that you give them a thumbs up for that performance. Manchester United has to look forward to Europa League next week. Another eye on that match might be a bad decision, but they're pretty safe, second place in the table. I don't think they're really in Champions League concern. So maybe they don't play their studs here. Manchester United is so deep, so they all have really good players, but putting out their best players is essential. And like, if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, are you going to like risk Bruno Fernandes getting hurt here and ruining Europa League chances? Like, do you care about that title? I think they all do. They're playing those matches. They want to win. They see the trophy. It's a couple legs away. So I think Leeds got embarrassed the first time they played, but that was, I think, due to some early goals in the beginning of the match. They're going to try their best to prevent that from happening. They've been playing more pragmatically lately. I think they get Cooper back from suspension. That will be helpful in their defense. But ultimately, they're going to push forward and try to score goals to try to win this match. And Manchester United only giving a half of a goal or maybe 3/4 of a goal on the road leaves very little insurance. If this somehow hit one, I think I'd be really interested or more interested in Leeds. Still worried about that late goal, of course, but it's not going to get there, I don't think. And I just don't know if Leeds, their style of play really is a good one to play against Manchester United, who is at its best when it's running into open space, and Leeds will certainly allow that. Next, Aston Villa giving half of a goal to West Brom. Villa hasn't been able to score at all without Jack Grealish. No offense really even with him, but when he's been gone, they've had real trouble. West Brom, though, looks like they're down. Certainly are fighting back to win, which puts their defense, which is already bad, in a pretty poor situation. Doesn't really seem like their defense has really taken hold, despite some decent results lately. Sam Allardyce came in to lock everything down, and the Hurricanes blowing all the patio furniture all over the lawn at this point. Certainly would lean the dog, of course, because that's what I do. And Aston Villa's got real trouble scoring, written all over their faces. Currently at a half of a goal, though, on the road. I'm not sure that there's that much that wants to get me in there. And then Monday Night Football, Leicester hosting Crystal Palace. Leicester giving a full goal. All the juice on their side might climb to 1.25. Leicester has been playing really poorly, but only good teams have been able to really take advantage of that. Crystal Palace, I don't think, is one of those, though they seem to pull out some crazy results from time to time. Getting a full goal of insurance is interesting, considering Leicester has been playing so poorly. Had to play 2 matches last week, moving on to the FA Cup final, and then also against West Brom. But Crystal Palace might be dead, might be on the beach. Doesn't really matter what they do the rest of the season. Manager's out the door at the end of the year, probably, if he's still alive. That's a bad joke. Shouldn't make that. Anyway, strike that from the record. But still, gun to my head to play Crystal Palace, but I don't think I want to lose any money doing that. So moving next to Spain, La Liga, who played midweek and now had no match today on Friday, or played Wednesday and Thursday. So they got a lot Saturday and Sunday. Elche hosts Levante, currently a pick'em, straight down the line, juice even on each side. Elche in the relegation spot, Levante pretty safe. Levante rested a lot of players in midweek, I think, because they're safe. Fought Sevilla pretty hard, and brought on their stud attackers late in the match. So they have probably a rest advantage over what Elche did, who took a 1-0 lead early and then conceded an equalizer to Real Valladolid, who's one of their relegation rivals. So that was a big chance opportunity missed. Elche is going to want to sit back and defend. It hasn't really been that great at defending lately, and the goals have kind of dried up too, and that's why they've fallen back into relegation places. Levante can score, but they have real trouble defensively, and it seemed to work mid-season when everything was clicking. Their defense was actually getting stopped somehow, and their offense was scoring. Sometimes their offense was scoring, and that allowed their defense to be better. But ultimately, I'm not sure what to expect here from Levante. They should be at a rest advantage, and that's helpful. And if they're a dog, I think I'd be very interested, but I'm not sure Elche has really been a favorite all season. Could look that up, but we're live, so not doing that now. And currently I pick them, not much to do there. Valladolid then host Cadiz, currently giving half of a goal, and Cadiz will be on my card because Valladolid, I like them as a team. I think they're really great defensively, and they're really good at really messing with the big clubs and going forward and counterattacking. But as a favorite, that doesn't work. Trying to get a goal on the break certainly can happen. They certainly can win this match, are at home, yada, yada. But ultimately, they have to possess the ball and look like they're going to try to score here. Cadiz will certainly give up possession. We're playing really well, 30 minutes of not even allowing a chance to Real Madrid before they stepped on some guy's foot in the box, penalty. Then they're down 3-0 in a blink of an eye. First half, brutal. But ultimately, Valladolid is, if they're going to possess the ball, if Cadiz is going to sit back like they normally do, then Valladolid's going to be stretched, not playing their defensive way that they want to, and that's going to be a big issue for them. Maybe they win this match, but juice is even both ways right now. Cadiz getting a half is far too high, unless there are some people sitting, which I don't. I mean, Cadiz is looking relatively safe, but their game plans generally make it seem like they're fighting for every point. So Valladolid having to push forward to try to score goals to win matches, to stay above the relegation zone, is interesting to me to be on the other side. Next is Valencia hosting Alaves. Currently, Valencia giving a quarter. All the juice on their side looks like it might climb to a half. Alaves has played really well under their new manager. Last two matches, two big wins to pull themselves out of the drop zone. Valencia has been hanging around relegation, but not really in that fight. Certainly, Valencia's got the better offense, but their defense is atrocious and has been bad all season. Alaves was really good, not playing great, not really good. They don't have a ton of resources, et cetera, but we're playing better than I think their manager got sacked, the first one that started the season. Shouldn't have. Brought in a new guy, tried to score a ton of goals. That went predictably terribly. They were league bottom as recently as a couple weeks ago, have won a bunch of matches since then, and basically jumped right up the table as everyone's really close at the bottom in Spain. I'm very interested in Alaves. Hopefully this climbs to a half of a goal where a draw means a victory. Because that'll probably be in my card, as Valencia certainly can score, but they really struggle in situations where they're better on the other side. They do really well at coming back from deficit, earn a draw, and that's why it'd be important for me to get a half on Alaves. Next, Real Madrid give a goal to Betis in the last match on Saturday. All the juice most of the juice on the Real Madrid side, so might climb to 1.25. Betis, just as I was singing their praises, they've struggled a little bit lately. Their offense has been really good, but took an early red card on Fekir, who's a big miss for creativity for this match as well. So that's a problem. Thanks for coming in, whoever did. If you want to throw any comments in there, I'm happy to answer. But Betis, unfortunately, they're in a situation where they're going to have to try to play defense, and that's not been a strong suit for them for 2 seasons now. They're better, and I think can give Real Madrid a tough time. But I'm going to I don't necessarily need more than a goal, but I'll feel better about potentially backing Betis the higher this line gets. And I'm in no rush to do that right now. And I honestly am not sure that I really want to even do that, considering Real Madrid, they're going to be very quiet, keep the Real Betis offense very quiet and make it really hard for them to score. And then it's really hard to keep, like, no one keeps a clean sheet against Real Madrid. So once that first goal goes in, the second one's a lot easier. And the brutal 87th minute, goal to go up 2-0 to really just screw me over has been a really, really brutal way to end a lot of matches this season. Moving to Sunday, Huesca hosting Getafe, currently pick 'em. Juice about even, a little more on the Getafe side, surprisingly. Getafe with a decent fight against Barcelona midweek, but ended up losing 5-2 with 2 late goals to brutally kill anyone who bet them. Sorry, thoughts and prayers. Might have said that already, but whatever. We're 19 minutes in. Huesca is kind of disrespected by this line, in my opinion, and have played better, really deserved more against Atleti. But the late goals have just basically, I'm a broken man now. But anyway, Huesca, if they were somehow underdogs here, I'd be interested. Or if Getafe catches up some money to potentially look at Huesca, maybe as a pick 'em with getting odds, that might be interesting as well. But nothing for me to do here, as I think Huesca is way better. Getafe has been in the league longer, and that's why they're getting the respect they are, because it's certainly not based on their play, as they can't score at all. Villarreal hosting Barcelona. The second match on Sunday, Villarreal getting 3/4 of a goal. Barcelona, most of the juice right now. It looks like it might climb to 1. Villarreal with a pretty poor performance midweek, losing to Alaves. I think they were down 1-0, equalized, then we're down 2-1 and lost the match that way. Villarreal's offense has been pretty good. Their defense leaves some to be desired, I think, and you really got to check to see what they're going to play, because Barcelona has been scoring a ton of goals lately, and anyone that is allowing them free space is going to give up a bunch of goals, and it's going to make that +1 seem like it's not even close to enough. Problem is, Unai Emery early in the season decided to try to run with Barcelona, which is not a good idea, even when Barcelona wasn't playing well and was in kind of a rut. Which I think the further I get into talking about this, the more I think that might happen again as Villarreal. If they're not going to play defensively that first time and haven't really done it all season, why would they do that here against Barcelona? And also you have to be good when you're playing a shell. Probably want to skip this one, though. If it hits 1, I'll probably start looking at it again because I'm a glutton for punishment at this point. Celta de Vigo then host Osasuna, currently giving a 1/4 of a goal. Osasuna's offense has been really hit or miss, scored a couple goals in the last couple of matches. Were they deserved? I'm not sure. But Celta Vigo's defense has been a problem for a while. They can certainly score, and it seems a little bit short to me right now. But I'm not sure I want Osasuna unless this hits a half. Even then, do I want them? Because Celta Vigo is almost guaranteed to score, and Osasuna had a really long drought of games without scoring at anything that they just kind of ended a couple weeks ago. I don't know. We'll see. Sevilla then hosts Granada. Currently, Sevilla giving a goal and a 1/4. Sevilla's offense has not. I mean, it's been bad. They win 1-0. They don't rarely do better than that. It seems like, unless I bet against them, and then they get some sort of lucky handball penalty, or like En-Nesyri has a hat trick before halftime, or something crazy like that. Granada's defense has not been good this season, but they've been so competitive, fighting on multiple fronts. Went deep into the quarters of the Europa League. Pretty impressive. I think there was the first time in the Europa League ever. Granada, all I can say is they were awesome to me after the lockdown last season as well, and have been hit or miss, but that's based on their defense. Their midfield is so deep. They have got so many like older forwards, but they've got a good rotation. They don't seem, when they go to the bench, they don't fall apart, or when they rotate players, they don't fall apart. And that's huge, I think, for a lot of teams where most just want to have a big starting 11 that they spend a ton of money on. Granada's been different, and I think it's been really good for them, and I like them for that. Sevilla's offense is not enough to cover 1 1/4, but as soon as they get that first goal, depending when they do, and Granada's not great at stopping or at preventing goals from going in the back of their net, unfortunately. So Sevilla, I mean, are they going to score enough here? The amount of money that came in on Sevilla because Levante was playing their backups and didn't play much defense the weekend before was incredible. At Sevilla only got 1 and really didn't look like they were going to get any more ever. So just the Sevilla offense giving more than a goal I want to be on the other side. Just not sure Granada's the one to do that. With Athletic Club then hosts Atleti, currently at home. Athletic Bilbao getting a 1/2 of a goal from Atleti Madrid. Atletico with a very fortunate performance this midweek. Could have been 1-1 draw and ended up winning 2-0. Just brutal, but I'll leave that to the side. Athletic Club did a bunch of rotating midweek against Betis, but early red card from Fekir put them in a good position. I think they held on to a 0-0 draw, which probably was disappointing to them. But with backups, that's kind of what happens, I guess. And not seeing Iker Muniain even in the side, in the roster for the match, whatever you call that. That was disappointing and makes me wonder about his status for this one, as he's important for creating. Athletic Club can defend. That's what they're built to do. This new manager they brought in mid-season has been able to help them, I think, push forward a little bit more offensively and do some things on the wings that a little bit better. And they should be in a much better, or they should be better rested than Atleti, who had played pretty much the same lineup the last 2 matches. This past one was really fortunate, got their victory, but I'm looking to be against Atleti as much as I can before they choke up the La Liga title. Had a big lead. It's been leaking oil since then. They've had to deal with some injuries, to be fair, but they have not looked good, and I'd like to be on Athletic Club, and hopefully some more money hits from Atleti Madrid supporters, backers, bettors, whatever. Next, Monday night is Eibar hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Eibar getting a 1/2 of a goal. Ibar league bottom, nothing's going well for them right now. Sociedad can rip them apart. And based on how Ibar's been playing, it's going to be really hard for me to want to have anything to do with them or put any sort of money behind them. So moving to Italy, and we'll start with Genoa hosting Spezia. Genoa, quarter of a goal favorite, all the juice on the Spezia side. Genoa's been struggling to win, and their offense hasn't been great. They've been fighting, and I think I like them as an underdog, not sure as a favorite, though Spezia is a team that's ripe for getting blown out by almost anybody. Parma giving 3/4 of a goal to Crotone. Crotone is bottom of the league. If they're not relegated yet, soon. Parma's fighting for points to try to stay in the league. It's still a big ask for them to win by a full goal and not pay you completely with that based on how they played the season. But I don't know who's back in Crotone at this point, so you got to inflate that line quite a bit. Sassuolo getting giving a half at home to Sampdoria. Sassuolo's offense has been pretty weak, but they're getting a little bit healthier. Their forwards are attacking. Players are coming back. I saw Berardi return to the starting lineup this week, which is important midweek. Sampdoria's offense is always a problem, and they're really great at giving up the late goals to lose by 2. I guess that doesn't matter here as they're only a half a goal underdog. Sassuolo, it seems like they're ticking up, but still, based on their performance this year, I guess I'd have some interest in Sampdoria. I'm not sure that they can score, and then you're banking on 0-0, and that's just really hard to do. Benevento on Sunday then host Udinese. Currently, Benevento getting a quarter of a goal with all the juice on their side. They unfortunately, Benevento had a good stretch middle of the season, made me think they were better than they are potentially. Been raining goals, or if they can't score, they'll give up an own goal. It's been not going very well for them, and I wonder if they're getting pulled in the relegation spat or if they did get enough points early in the season to escape. Big victory against Juve was massive because the other teams are fighting with at the bottom certainly aren't doing that. Udinese is a defensive side and want to counterattack. The problem is I think Benevento is silly enough. One of the Inzaghi brothers, a manager, I think they all want to play attacking football, and that puts them in a big problem when Udinese is coming the other way, as I don't know that Benevento, even with a ton of possession, can really pick apart a Udinese defense. Fiorentina then getting a full goal from Juve at home in a disaster themselves, fighting relegation trouble, not in it, but like around it, which is crazy for a team from Florence that I guess has a ton of money behind it. Manager resigned, brought a new one in who kind of got them to play somewhat decent football, I guess, after the lockdown last season. He came back in to try to put out the fire. Juve, with Ronaldo who returned midweek, we'll see if he's in the lineup for this one. But giving a full goal on the road, Juve's offense is always going to be talented. They're so deep and talented. Fiorentina, though, they can score. They have some good players. They have some decent talent. It's just they've been in a disaster this season, and would you want to back them to do that and turn it all around against Juve, or start going in the right direction against like the 9-time in a row Scudetto champion who is still fighting to try to get back into that race, but aren't really that close at this point, I don't think. I don't know. Getting a full goal is always interesting to me, but I probably shouldn't do anything with that. Moving on to Inter hosting Hellas Verona. Inter giving a goal and a half. Big number. Verona's not playing like they were earlier in the season. I just don't want to be against Lukaku anymore, as he's embarrassed me enough as it is. Cagliari hosting Roma, currently Pick'em. Roma's lines have been falling out of this. It's honestly kind of incredible how little respect they've been getting from the marketplace, but they haven't really been making anyone think otherwise. We're pretty fortunate, I think, to get by Ajax from Holland or the Netherlands in Europa League, and do have a match coming up with Manchester United to look forward to. Cagliari fighting relegation and need points. Currently Pick'em, not much for me to do there. Atalanta then hosts Bologna, giving a goal and a half. Atalanta gets really strong lines, and somehow, even with miraculous late covers on deflections like they did in the winner against Juve, 87th minute or something like that. Pretty incredible, but they've been getting a ton of respect from the marketplace. They seem to cover every week, so it makes sense. Monday night, Torino hosts Napoli, currently getting 3/4 of a goal from Napoli. That's a big number considering where Torino has been lined recently. Surprised to see that. Napoli's getting healthier, I guess, with Seaman returning up front's really important for their offense. Didn't start midweek though, and I don't know. I mean, Napoli certainly has some defense, especially for a team against Torino, like that they can probably control them, but their offense leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Torino's really great at fighting back to steal points, either all three or earn a draw late. So I'm interested in that side for sure at home as they're continuing to push themselves further and further from relegation. Then Lazio, last one of the week in Italy. Lazio host AC Milan, currently giving a quarter of a goal. I think that's just a reflection on how poorly Milan's been, from being way ahead in the Scudetto race and then falling to second, which I guess isn't so bad, to be frank. So maybe I've overstated that. But Lazio giving a quarter is based on their offense being good. Their defense is not great against the top sides. AC Milan, are they that talented? I think finished 6th or 7th last year in Serie A. So are they one of the top sides? I'm not sure. What's the status of Zlatan? It's really always hard to follow. So we'll see. But ultimately, I think AC Milan as an underdog is interesting to me, as Lazio can score for sure, but the defense is not good. Next, we'll move to Germany, to the Bundesliga. Mainz currently getting a goal and a half with all the juice on the Bayern Munchen side. Mainz at home. They've played one. So Germany played midweek. Mainz did not play last weekend, so they did play midweek, but so they have a little bit of a leg advantage against Bayern. But having to stick with Bayern is always tough, no matter if it's home or on the road. I think Mainz even had a lead at Bayern Munchen earlier this season and had an awful second half, giving up 3 goals or something to lose. Mainz has basically been built and kind of rescued themselves from the drop by being really good defensively with good pressure and then just finding these miraculous goals late in matches. If they can stick with Bayern, that's great. The problem is I don't see them scoring a bunch, and it's going to be really hard for them to keep up with Bayern Munchen unless they can keep a clean sheet or keep Bayern to only scoring once. And that's really hard to do. And especially once that first goal goes in, then the second is almost like automatic for Bayern as well. So I'm not sure I want to get involved there. Freiburg pick 'em at home to Hoffenheim. Freiburg didn't play in the midweek as they were scheduled to play Hertha, who's dealing with COVID stuff. Hoffenheim has been a disaster. Defense has been really banged up, and that's been a problem for them. But the offense has kind of gone by the wayside recently. Freiburg wants to have possession. They're going to leave themselves potentially open to counterattacks, which is a problem because their defense is not great. And they play aggressively, and that's not something Christian Streich will ever apologize for. And I guess I sort of like them, but wearing a jersey, it's probably not something you should definitely take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't really have a favorite team, but I guess if I had to pick one, that'd be them. I'm surprised. I thought Freiburg might be a pick'em or even a quarter goal favorite at home. So currently getting odds at pick'em, it's interesting to me. And if it climbed to a quarter, it might be hard for me to resist clicking that submit button. Union hosting Werder Bremen, half a goal favorite. Werder's been a disaster, somehow falling from mid-table to like into the relegation zone potentially. I think that's a lot because the bottom of the table has been playing a lot better in the Bundesliga, but still, Werder doesn't really seem to have an offense, doesn't have a defense. They try to make the match ugly because they really don't have much talent on their team. And Josh Sargent, the U.S. international, just seems to be wasting his time there. Granted, he's not that good either, but Union's going to play really solid defense. And it's kind of weird to see them as a half a goal favorite because they really want to draw every match, it seems. But they're clinical. They seem to know what they're doing. Their manager seems to be clued in, whereas Werder Bremen's just, I'm not saying Kofeld is terrible. I don't know that he has a lot to work with. Union just seems to have a collective mindset, and Kofeld might be a guy that's built to have a good, talented team, and that's not what he has. Wolfsburg then hosts Dortmund, currently getting a quarter of a goal. That's a lot of respect for Wolfsburg, who has had some defensive issues lately, to say the least. Dortmund is all over the place, though, and the pressure is really on them to try to get into Champions League place, and I'm not sure how they can do it, even winning like the rest of their matches. I'm not sure there are enough points available. Wolfsburg played really tight the first match, might even deserve to win, but of course that late goal, Sancho on a break, just completely killed my Wolfsburg bet. Story of my life in this sport. It's unbelievable. But Dortmund only is a quarter goal favorite. Most of the juice on their side. Maybe this climbs to a half, so that's somewhat interesting to me. I'm going to be looking at Wolfsburg, as I like being against Dortmund. It's paid out pretty well all season. Leverkusen, then a quarter goal favorite to Frankfurt. Leverkusen's new manager came in, was playing defensive side, trying to right that ship. But the offense has been pretty stagnant because of that. He's kind of changed that and went a little bit more aggressive with offense lately. And that's, I think, what they need to do, because Leverkusen's defense is okay. They've dealt with a ton of injuries in the back three. But ultimately, I think they need to go forward. They need to score goals and outscore their competition. Frankfurt can score, though. The bringing in Jovic, he hasn't been that great, but he's definitely a good Robin to the Andre Silva Batman. Frankfurt is dealing with Hinteregger, who went off at halftime after getting a yellow card, so maybe that was more of a precautionary thing. But certainly there's some injuries at the back that Frankfurt's dealing with, especially after Abraham left the club midseason, as was initially planned. But getting a quarter of a goal, Frankfurt's very interesting to me, because I don't believe in Leverkusen currently at all under the new manager, nor how they've been playing recently. Sunday, Leipzig hosting Stuttgart. Leipzig basically throwing the title chase out the window with some losses and some draws and whatever. Ultimately, their defense has been good this season. Their offense has been really weak, and the big matches, the lopsided victories they've had, seem really fortunate to me. They do draw Stuttgart, though, currently giving a goal and a quarter with all the juice on their side, so it might climb to a goal and a half. Stuttgart is so banged up that they've lost really what they were, which was a counterattacking side that didn't play great defense. Now they're just not a great defense, and Kalajic is alone on an island up front. And he was barely scoring like the one chance they had a match when things were like still going okay a month ago or so. So Leipzig, it's just hard to trust them to score a ton of goals. This is not the type of team that's going to keep them from having chances, though. And then last one for Sunday is Gladbach hosting Arminia Bielefeld. Currently Gladbach giving a full goal. Looked really good against Frankfurt. Not sure how to explain that. Maybe it was Adi Hutter leaving Frankfurt or announcing that he was going to Gladbach and then playing them the same weekend. That probably wasn't great for the players, though they've got a lot to fight for, whether he's there or not. So I don't really know how to explain that. But Gladbach played well. First time in a while that they had, despite getting some wins recently. But that's a big confidence boost, and I think that helps them a lot as they're fighting for Europa League or Champions League, but I don't think that's even less of a chance than what Dortmund's looking at. Bielefeld is trying to fight their way out of the drop. They're going to sit back and defend, but they've been working on the new manager has kind of been pressuring a lot more up the field, which certainly can leave them open in the back. And Gladbach wants to counterattack, but Bielefeld is not the side that's going to be possessing the ball and trying to fit passes in. They're going to try to score off of like a break, a deflection, set piece, something like that. So getting a full goal is interesting to me, and we'll see where this one goes, as most of the juice is on the Bielefeld side right now. And now as we hit 38 minutes, going to go through France really quickly, because that's like the last that it's on the list. Saint-Etienne currently giving a quarter with all the juice on their side to Brest. Saint-Etienne has not been very good, so that's kind of a surprising number. Brest has been getting a lot of respect from the market, though they have not really been able to live up to it. And maybe this is a reflection of that. But currently, Brest getting a half of a goal, even on the road, that seems a little bigger than I would expect. So I'd have some interest there, as it looks like it's going to climb to that number. Metz getting a goal and a half at home from PSG. Big number. Metz is really competitive, has beaten a lot of good clubs in France. But the way they play is going to leave it wide open for PSG. So unfortunately, I don't even know what the number is I'd want to back, because this could be a 3-0, and lines aren't going to get that high from mid-table versus a title contender. PSG does have Barcelona midweek, though. I just don't. If Metz played any sort of defense or played in a way that made it hard for PSG to score, I might be more interested, and I don't see that happening. So moving to Sunday, Nice host Montpellier. Pick them right now. Would be interested in Montpellier if they were somehow a dog here. Nice with a pretty poor loss to Dijon, who's like almost already relegated. Last week was disappointing, but got to credit the market for kind of picking that out, as Nice was underpriced, I thought. But luckily I didn't get anywhere near losing money on that one, just on others. Lorient then hosting Bordeaux, giving currently giving a quarter of a goal. Bordeaux has been a disaster, falling apart, left pieces all over the place, like arms falling off, basically. Bordeaux is a disaster. Should be way better. Lorient's fighting out of relegation, but I was hoping maybe they might be a pick'em, but that didn't happen. Lens then hosts Nîmes. Currently, Lens a 3/4 of a goal favorite. a little bit more of the juice on their side. Nice been playing well, certainly fighting their way out of relegation. New manager came in and changed things around. They've been better. Lens is good and is certainly fighting their way potentially to a European place. But I'm not sure that they're that much better than Nîmes, at least the current version of Nîmes. So I'm interested in that one, especially if they lose by a goal, only lose half. Sad at this point, I'm looking at that as like how to minimize losses, but like literally the season's been so brutal. Strasbourg giving a quarter to Nantes seems about fair, or maybe even a little light for Strasbourg, who's been getting a ton of respect from the marketplace off of, I think, some good performances against the top of the table. But really haven't done too much offensively or done anything really that's made me think, oh, wow, they're really that good. Rennes then host Dijon, giving a goal and a half, all the juice on the Dijon side. But I don't know who's back in Dijon at this point. Good win last week, I guess. But Rennes has been beating everybody, whether they deserved it or not. Angers getting a full goal from Monaco at home. Monaco with all the juice on their side looked like it might climb to 1.25. Monaco's been flying, crushing everybody. And Angers doesn't seem like a side that's going to put up much of a fight. And then also did play midweek against PSG in the Cup. So that's not great. And then lastly, a huge one, Lyon, quarter goal favorite at home to Lille. Lyon, tough match midweek. Was going to bet Monaco, and I didn't do it, and I'm pissed about it. But going to leave that to the side. Lyon, they've struggled with some of some of the worst teams. They've been better against the good sides in France, but ultimately Lille is going to play defense, and Lyon has shown that it struggles on their own defensive side. I'm not sure that the red card from the Coupe de la Ligue or French Cup midweek comes over, but it's also like a backup defender, so I don't think that's big of a deal. But they did play midweek and had to use the legs of their good players. I think Lille did play midweek as well in the Cup, as it was the quarterfinals, but there's only two Ligue 1 versus Ligue 1 matchups, so I think those were the only lines I saw. But regardless, Lille's going to play counterattacking football. Lyon's going to give them the opportunity to do that. And it looks like this is going to climb up to a half of a goal, and I don't really believe that. And I wonder why that is. Lille's got a really deep lineup, so I'm not sure that I'd be worried about an absence being like an explanation for this. But Lyon's got, I think, some flaws, and ultimately having to win the match to cover is going to be asking a lot, especially if this climbs to a half a goal favorite. It looks like it's going to based on the current odds, where Lille's getting odds at a quarter. So that's England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and France. If anybody has any questions, feel free, hit me on Twitter, @thereal_GWarner, or subscribe on here, as that'll somehow get me closer to the necessary 1,000 followers that I need, subscribers, whatever it's called. Anyway, thanks for joining. We'll do another one midweek for Champions League and Europa League. Peace.